meeting to order. Whoever she is, we're gonna have a talk. Like the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So it's a regular board meeting, Tuesday, February 15, 2022. I hear a roll call, please, Bonnie.
Mr. Bova.
I am here.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mrs. McBride.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Dr. Singh.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here. Thank you, ma'am. We're going to roll right into comments from residents. First, I have got Rabbi Barbara Simons, and is there a list that other folks sign up?
No, nobody signed anything.
All right, so
This is on the agenda item, sure.
it says agenda items. Yes, sir.
I'm hesitating because I've had a lot of communication issues about this, and I was told, actually, I'm speaking at the end on behalf of Ministerium, so am I speaking now?
Is it an agenda item?
I'm talking about the assistant principals.
You know, speaking right now is fine.
Yeah, that's all.
All right, thank you, sorry. Had I known that, other people actually would have been with me, so my apologies. I really tried my hardest to do some good communication here. So though I am alone at the moment standing here, the Ministerium is standing with me, and I know that many of them already have emailed the school board members, but this is a statement from all of us. We represent the Monroeville Interfaith Ministerium and are so appreciative of your work on behalf of our students. What a particularly challenging 2 years it has been. At this time, we especially want to express our appreciation for the work of high school assistant principals Dr. Fournier and Mr. Barlack and wish them well. As you begin the process to fill these two positions, we invite you to look around at the students, at the faculty, and at the administration. The faculty and administration do not proportionally reflect the many diversities of our students. And so stated by Dr. Short at the last school board meeting, there's currently no diversity in the administration. The message that sends to our students of color, those with varying ethnic backgrounds and religions, let alone our female students, is that their life experiences cannot be fully understood by their administration. A lack of diversity sends the message that our students in this fine school district do not have the opportunity to envision themselves at the highest tier of education. A lack of diversity does not reflect the real world into which they will soon enter. A lack of diversity means that the blessings of diversity are not being celebrated. We therefore request that as you make every effort to find the most suitable candidates for these two positions, and I will add any other positions, they are not only suitable on paper, but in the flesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. So, no one else? So let's move on to Section A, minutes of previous meetings.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Bonnie, moved by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Cerrucci, that we accept the minutes of the previously held meetings.
Thank you.
Those were the, who was that?
It was Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
Any questions on that? Anyone at all?
John's our minutes expert.
John, got anything for me?
Any comments on the minutes?
No? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All righty. Let's move on to Section B. You want to take over?
Section B, financial reports. Mr. Schott.
Thank you, Dr. Short. Section B, resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approve sections B1 list of bills, 2 financial reports, and B3 budget transfers as listed in section B at the Tuesday, February 15th, 2022 regular board meeting. And those specifically consist of the items below: section B1 list of bills, February 2022, section B1 list of bills, February 2022 added after study session meeting, and section B2 monthly financial report for the month of January 2022 added after study session meeting. And finally, the section B3 budget transfers for the month of February 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Once again, moved by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Cerrucci. Any questions on these sections? Nope. Bonnie?
Mrs. Cerucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mrs. McBride,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Dr. Singh,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Boba.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Personnel agenda, section D, Mrs. Crump.
Thank you, Dr. Short. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors accepts and approves the personnel agenda items 1 through 4 as listed in section D for the regular board meeting of Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Under resignations, we have no additions since the last study session. However, we do want to recognize all of our retirees and thank them for the service that they've done for the district and everything that they've done for the staff and the students. Under section 2 for leave of absences, we do have one additional C, which was added to the agenda. Under section 3 for transfers, there are no new items. Under section 4 for employment, we did add Natalie Disposenza. That is for a special ed position that started today. We also have supplemental contracts. We've added 4 since the last study session. And under volunteers, we've added 3 independent volunteers.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Crump.
Nobody seconded it, then they can't quit, right?
I believe that is correct, Ms. Cerucci.
Okay.
Well, that might be wrong, so. Somebody help us out here.
All right,
Second.
Oh, okay, we've got Mr. Williams making that motion, Bonnie, and Ms. Mungo seconding. Seconding? Is that the word? Second? It doesn't sound right. Seconding. Seconding. All right, any questions?
I was just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
Natalie Disposenza, I'm saying her name wrong probably. The rate is now 200 a day for subs. Is that her rate or is that the going rate?
No, that is our rate that we pay any substitute who works in an extended position where they do the actual lesson plans, the IEPs, and all of that information. So anyone who's in a position for over 20 days does get the $200 a day.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Consecutive days.
We have a lot of openings if you want to apply.
You can always change.
Retroactive.
Any other questions? And you cannot get that retroactively, Ms. Delaney. So let's move on. Bonnie, you ready?
I'm ready. Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mrs. McBride,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Dr. Singh,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Boba,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Section E, conferences, conventions, Dr. Chaky.
Thank you, Dr. Short. For approval tonight, we have 4 conferences as listed, one of which was added after the study session.
So moved.
Second.
That was moved, the motion was made by Scotty. Who was the second? Over here.
Leslie?
Ms. McBride seconded that, Bonnie.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any questions on that? Nope. Bonnie?
Mrs. McBride,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Dr. Singh,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Boba,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Section F, administrative report, elementary education, Dr. Rossi.
Item number 1 is approve the purchase of the Super Kids Reading Program as depicted in Exhibit A. Item number 2 is approve the agreement with Catapult Learning for enhanced core reading instruction training depicted in Exhibit B. And an add-on from last meeting is approve Anthony Petroselli as the business representative of the Professional Education Committee.
Item number 4, facility agreement, St. Nicholas Serbian Orthodox Church Choir. Item number 5, 2022-23 school year calendar. Item number 6, approve the extension of the Gateway High School Credit Recovery Program and supplemental teaching positions for a spring cohort.
Item number 7, approval receipt, purchases, and payments for ESSER2 elementary and secondary school emergency relief federal funds items through the general fund during the 21-22 fiscal year in the total amount of $2,952,439 and as depicted below. Items number 8 and 9 are taken together. They are both our annual items related to our IDEA funds for the upcoming 22-23 fiscal year. Specifically, item number 8 is approval of the IDEA Part B use of funds sub-grant agreement through the Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3 for the 22-23 fiscal year. And that is depicted in Exhibit D. And the second resolution is item number 9, approval of attachment A, notice of adoption of approved LEA policies, procedures, and use of funds by school district of the Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3, IDEA Part B for the 22-23 fiscal year, and that is depicted in Exhibit E. Items number 10 and items number 11 are 2 resolutions that we take together every 4 years for the tax collector bonds. Item number 10 is approval of purchase and 1 payment for a 4-year real estate tax collector bond for municipality of Monroeville real estate tax collector. Please note that this resolution was updated from the study session meeting. We have the actual total amount of the bond number, and the district's portion of the bond, which is $25,148.79. And the rest as depicted in that particular resolution. And item number 11, approval of purchase and continuation of annual payments for a 4-year real estate tax collector bond for the Borough of Pitcairn Real Estate Tax Collector. No changes on this resolution for the amount as depicted below. Item number 12, this was added after study session meeting. This was acceptance of district donations received for the 21-22 fiscal year. Specifically, item number A is from Pirates Charities All-Star Teacher Grant, a $1,000 check for Dr. April King for the support of student classroom activities at Evergreen Elementary School. And item number B is BNY Mellon Community Partnership, $500 check through Jody Price, employee of BNY Mellon, support of student activities at Mosside Middle School.
So moved.
I have a question.
Second.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, hold on.
So,
Hold on one second. So it was made by Scotty and seconded by Ms. Sarucci, Bonnie. All right, Dr. Singh.
yeah, so what is tax collector bond?
The tax collector bond is a requirement for all tax collectors to have. It's related to the amount of cash that they are bonded for to keep on hand at any particular point in time prior to making deposits with the entity, the governing body, in our case, the school district.
So there is a fee we pay for it?
Yes, there is a fee for that, yes.
And the other question regarding was your technology purchases. So you say sole source vendor, is that, who is they, who are they?
Apple.
Oh, so you go to the Apple company itself?
Correct.
Okay. And they give you a special educational discount?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome, sir.
I had a question too. I see that under elementary, you have the Super Kids Reading Program, which I did look at in the exhibits. It seems like a pretty well fun type of curriculum that they devising. But under secondary, they did have the actual honors 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th literary books that they would textbook. Now, I don't see that mentioned here. Are we not at this time approving that, or?
That'll be in March. I don't think it's on the 30 days that we give, so it'll fall to March.
So the Super Kids was already on prior?
Yeah, right. This is just the
So
actual
that-
purchase of it.
Okay.
Yep.
Question,
Any other questions?
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shaw, offhand, how much Esther's money did we get?
Well, we have the 2.9 million listed here, and then we have the ESSER 3, which I don't have that spreadsheet in front of me. That's approximately $5.9 million.
Okay, just want to know, what are we doing for learning loss with these kids? I
Well-
mean, go ahead.
Oh, well, and actually at some other funds we actually have some, it's called state set aside funds that are 7%. 1% going towards after-school tutoring, which we are currently utilizing after-school tutoring. So those funds will go towards offsetting the cost of that program. Another 1%, which is going to be utilized for our summer education program. And then there's a remaining 5% that's broken out between, I believe, I don't have this sheet in front of me, 4 different areas, which will be comprised of areas that will be utilized for learning loss as well moving forward. We also have, as part of the ESSER 3, which we are actually going to be finalizing and submitting the application to Pennsylvania Department of Education in the next week or two. For that, we have 9 new staff positions that are being currently utilized in terms of salaries and benefits. 7 teachers, 1 counselor, and 1 social worker. And from what we've gone through, from what we initially thought with some of the learning loss with that, we're actually going to be able to support those 9 positions for not only the current 21-22 fiscal year, but also the 22-23 fiscal year as well. So again, that's that. And I want to say the number with that, I want to say is about 1.8, 1.9 million of that 5.9 million ESSER 3 will be going to salaries and benefits, those new positions. Plus, just as another item, if we could back up to last month, if you recall, we had approval of the IDEA budget. There was actually a ARP ESSER component to that, which we were not made aware of until the middle of December, of approximately $200,000. That $200,000 is going towards the salaries of the 3 new special education teachers that we also added during the current fiscal year to also combat the learning loss here at the district.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I have a question about item number 12. The 2 recipients that made the donations, I'm assuming that, first of all, Dr. April King was recognized as an all-star teacher.
That's correct.
Thank you very much. And also Jody Price. Do they make a decision on where that money goes? And if they did, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That was my question. Do they make the decision on where?
Oh, yes, they do. Yes. Jody Price, we acknowledged her, I believe, at last month's meeting as well for a donation to.
They decide what it supports, yeah.
Correct. So she's been actually doing this for several years now in terms of her community efforts, where she can decide where these items go back to here at the Gateway School District, which has been really great for our students.
Greatly appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I have a question about the credit recovery program. We're extending it. How's that going?
It's going actually very well. The first cohort, we had 32 credits that we reclaimed for students, and we're anticipating that a lot are going to be gained in this first cohort as well.
So this is one of the efforts to also help with the learning loss and the kids getting behind. Is this correct?
And if I could just jump in on that one, those are being paid for from the 5% state set aside ESSER funds. So there was a specific amount related to that we had identified when we submitted those applications.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
That might be a nice thing to put together somewhere on our website, or so the community can see specific amounts of money from ESSER funds going to help learning loss.
It is our intent to do that at some point in the future. One of the interesting things, I'll call it interesting, with this process with PD is that we've submitted some of these applications. There's not really a lot of feedback. And I'll use this ESSER 2 as a prime example. We submitted this prior to a required deadline and received no affirmation in terms of what was entered in that. But about, I think 2, possibly 3 weeks ago, we started to receive funds for that. So our intent is to make copies available. We're going to make copies available of all the applications and do a summary. I will put together a summary spreadsheet to show the various sources of ESSER funds, so everyone will be able to take a look at that. That'll be a part of our required community effort to disclose all that information. But what we've been doing with all of these pots of money, going back even to the last fiscal year, is putting a resolution specific is what we're seeing here in item number 7, to be able to detail this information out with each pot of money that we get. And for instance, with this particular pot of money, again, starting to receive it and more importantly, utilizing these expenditures. But even with ESSER 2, just using this also as a further example, and we talked about this even during our budget development process for the current fiscal year, and also in relation to our construction project, the Gateway Middle School, because we did utilize a portion of this. And actually, I will note less than what we had originally anticipated of ESSER funds towards that project, and actually utilizing more of those funds towards items that would be helpful in the learning loss effort of the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more.
You have all you want, Ms. Mungo.
The technology department purchases, is there any way to offset that? Do we have any equipment that is being turned in, refurbished, refunded,
Yes.
at a reduced cost? Okay.
Yes, actually, we did have, as we've been doing the last several years, when there's outgoing technology, we utilize the vendor to basically sell it to one-stop shop, grading, and if Micah Brown would like to jump in anytime, graded the various pieces that we had and actually did provide some revenues, which we did build into this current fiscal year budget. And if I don't have the number in front of me, but if I do recall correctly, we just received the check approximately 2 weeks ago, and it was a bit greater than what we had originally anticipated, which is good. We used kind of a middle road estimate until the actual vendor was able to collect the devices and actually grade each one to determine which amount the district would receive for each device.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Nope. Bonnie?
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Dr. Singh,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning, Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Boba,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci, Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mrs. McBride.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, section G, resolutions presented by board members. Last week, Mrs. Cerucci presented to the public and the board policy 218.1, suspension and expulsion. There was one line added to this that would allow the superintendent to instruct or solicitor to have a hearing officer present in lieu of the board. Do you want to elaborate any further?
I think you did good. It's just a one-line item, which is basically to give flexibility to our superintendent if the need arises, which in the past has been few and far between, and we hope it will continue to stay that way. But it's always good to give our superintendent options. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Scotty made it and Ms. McBride seconded. We have any questions on that resolution?
Now, let me be clear here. So it's still on for the 30-day public display before we,
We'll be voting tonight to put it on display.
Place it on display.
oh, okay.
Yes.
All right,
Mhm.
all right.
30 days, we'd actually vote on the policy.
Any other questions? Nope. Bonnie?
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Dr. Singh,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Boba,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mrs. McBride,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, Dr. Short. All right, let's move on to comments from residents on non-agenda items. We have one hand up, I see immediately. Please step to the microphone.
Cheryl Boyce Monroe. I have some questions about what we were just talking about Easter through. I hope you can answer these. You're saying 5.9 million, 7 teachers, 1 counselor, and 1 social worker. Are you at liberty now to say where these specific positions will be put in the district? Do you know exactly which buildings are where?
They're already present within the buildings.
They are?
Yes.
How did you break this out? Like 7 teachers went?
Do we have Mrs. Crump?
Yes, sir. I don't have all the information in front of me, but it added 4 instructional support teachers in the district. We added 2, I believe, additional kindergarten teachers to help with the class size reductions. We also added a 4th grade and a 1st grade additional, along with another special education position.
Yes, you had also indicated.
And social worker.
And the social worker is where?
Mossline Middle School.
Split, so we have 1 for K-4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12.
Okay, so now we have 3
Yes.
split based on the levels. Okay, and the counselor was in the middle school? Did she say that? I may have missed it.
Yes.
Yes. Person who was half-time was placed into a full-time position.
Okay, so we now have a middle school counselor that's full-time.
Correct.
Okay.
We have 3 middle school counselors.
Yes.
We have 3. The 3 special ed that you had originally indicated that you had a couple months ago, how is that divided out? Like, is that divided out amongst all the levels too? Like elementary, middle school, high school? I'm just trying to figure out how all of these positions are being divided amongst the different buildings.
And those teachers would have been identified per either a grade level or particular building to move into, to support.
Okay. I have a question about special ed. Well, first of all, math labs, where are we with the math labs? Did we make any progress on that as far as getting those in place?
We do have math lab available for students during the course of the day.
Okay.
Dr. Chakey had talked about, I think last week, Dr. Chakey, about the availability of providing that individual after school in the math lab for students to go into. Is that correct?
Yeah, during the first cohort for the credit recovery, there was a math teacher there that was available for tutoring. So kids were able to go after school to receive some tutoring. We got a couple examples from students where they felt like their grade improved and then the credit recovery ended. So there was still a need for a little bit more remediation and help. So we're kicking around the idea now of potentially having a math lab that would be open for the remainder of the year at the high school. We would have set hours and students would be able to sign up for that. But that's just in the planning phase now.
Didn't we used to have a math lab all the time at Gateway?
Yeah.
Am I thinking wrong?
There was a math lab and a writing center, and one individual teacher or a cohort of teachers were available to assist students with various projects. In lieu of that, what we've done over the years is simply double the instructional time for individual students. So instead of a 42-minute class period, say, of English, they would have a back-to-back 84-minute amount of time. So that is what we found to be more effective. But this year, we've also added an individual teacher who does assist with the math lab.
And is there going to be one in the middle school? Because I understand some of the kids in middle school have been like floundering a little bit. So are we going to have a math lab there? Because you're talking about high school right now.
Right.
Any possibility that's going to be looked at?
Well, we're looking at potentially having the hours stretch a little bit, so middle school students will be able to attend.
Could, during the course of the day, go to the math lab?
After school.
Oh, this would be an after-school thing, okay, all right. Because realistically, one-on-one, you can't beat that. If you're in a class, that's great. Extending time is great. But one of the problems I have in our conversation in this district, a lot of people keep thinking, looking at kids as like some subgrouping for a test. I always look at them as individual learners, and they need specific individualized help, which leads me to the next question. One of the biggest problems that's happened with COVID is reading. I mean, if you look at all the data and you look at all the research and all the conversations, Where kids are falling behind is with reading skills. And we need to get back to fundamentals. Now, we have Dr. Rossi, which is a blessing because he's a reading specialist. All of the staff that we're adding, how many are reading specialists? And do any of them have a background in memory? I have a very dear friend who did research in this, in memory and learning, which a lot of times in special ed we don't talk about, but it's very critical. And there are teachers that have those skills because the kids forget. Some kids need strategies to retain the information. And when you're in and out of school, like we've been with COVID, that is very pervasive. They just don't remember this stuff. So I'm just wondering where we're going with reading, as far as reading specialists, and do we have anybody in special ed who's really tuned to memory and learning? Because that's sort of a unique field that not everybody knows about, but it's very critical because there are very specific strategies for that.
Dr. Ross?
As far as the reading specialists, we do have reading specialists in each building, and 1.5 at Mosside Middle School. They're really our go-to literacy specialists in the building, and they do a fantastic job. The instructional support teachers that we hired are elementary or middle school certified, not reading specialists. So that would be something we do look at, but not all the applicants come with that for those 1 or 2 year positions.
Yeah, I think it's really, a lot of people look at me when I say this, but then the data's out there. If kids don't have a foundation in reading, pretty much by the time they leave 3rd grade, we're paddling the wrong way in the stream. And so given the fact that so many of them have had this issue because looking online or working online is not the same as being in a classroom, and even with masks, you look at their little eyes and you can tell, I lost this person. So at some point, I'm just wondering, you're talking about these funds, expanding this, more math labs, more reading specialists, more people with maybe memory understanding, those kind of things. I think that would help the kids, because we can talk about all these other positions all day, but it's really about the kids getting in the classroom. So thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Can I follow up with that with a question? The math labs, is this also an opportunity for some of the high school students who are in AP or higher levels of math to go and volunteer, or even possibility of a paid position for them?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We're also looking at its potential, and this would be down the road because this would take a little bit of preparation, but kind of having sort of like a teaching academy where we had a career pathway where students could look at some coursework and go into this particular field, because we have the great, the early literacy and the preschool program at the high school, which is excellent. And if we could expand that to students that really want to go into a career of education, that'd be excellent, because we would be able to have those students to use as tutors and be able to go over some of the content. Because we definitely feel like the key is the one-on-one interaction with the student, and maybe they only need a little bit of help.
And what kind of feedback have you been receiving at the middle school with the tutoring program that is now up and running for almost a month, 3 weeks now? What kind of feedback are you getting, and how many kids?
At this point, we don't have a lot of participation with students. The middle school program was a little bit difficult because we didn't have a lot of teachers that elected to participate as tutors. So we went into the varsity tutors program as an alternative, and we get some pretty good feedback on that. But again, it's not as good as having a one-on-one teacher.
Right, but it's still there to help with the learning loss, and the buses are provided for these students for this particular after-school program as well. So that's not a barrier to them. Okay.
Anyone else on non-agenda items? Someone's, yes.
Jeanette Eagle, Monroeville resident. Off the tutoring thing at Mosside Middle School. I have 2 kids there. How were the kids selected to get into this program? Because I literally had no idea that we did this, because I have 2 children that would probably drastically benefit from extra help. So how are parents, how are they selected to this program? And my other question is, with the buses, there's been a lot of things on social media, and I'm sure you can think of specific bus numbers. What is happening to try to mitigate what's going on the buses so that we as parents feel a little safer putting our kids on the buses? There's not a whole lot of communication coming to us, so it's everybody talking here instead of getting the information from here.
I can let you know that the best way to mitigate that is to have individual parents contact the principal if they believe there is an issue on the bus. To use the forum on social media does not accurately depict what is happening and what we're seeing on the buses, because we investigated every one of these incidents that appears on social media, and we found no evidence of what was being said. And ironically, everyone that views that social media post takes it upon themselves to indicate what's lacking in the building, what's lacking from the district, instead of pausing and directing those comments and questions to the proper authorities instead of venting on social media. So that's just my 2 cents worth.
Oh, I understand that completely. But as a parent, I have emailed, like I've gone back with when we got the letter from Westside Middle School where we were getting the dean of, when we were having the behavior issues. I'm not getting emails back. So we're having a problem with communication, and I think from the initial letter that was sent out, we were expecting to be kept up to date and not have to constantly email and beg, hey, what's going on? There's like a big different step when you go from elementary school where you're bombarded with information, you know what's going on, and then you go to the next level. And
similar when you open up that backpack at the end of the day and there's, well, it used to be until we had the virtual and you're pulling stuff out. We understand that. I've been in contact with Mr. Jack. Again, we're not going to send notices out of any perceived incident or something happening. If there is a situation, absolutely, transparency, the parents will be notified. I've included the board members in all my communications, asked them to stop up and take a look at the video to show and to really identify that there are not these issues that appear on social media.
Dr. Short, let me see if I can understand what you're saying. And Jeanette, correct me if I'm wrong. So let's say there's a perceived problem, 2 kids hurting each other on a given school bus. Okay, so they go home, they report it to the parent. And the tape is viewed by the administration, and they see that there was absolutely nothing at all that happened. Okay, so now since there was nothing that happened, you have nothing to report. So since there's nothing to report, the parents of the children who are claiming that there was a big outbreak, the parents still think that there was a big outbreak and something needs to be done. So is that a disconnect or not?
It probably is, yes.
And the parents are called.
So the parents are called.
They may not report that on social media, but
do you call the parents?
I'm sure that. I'm just trying to figure out, like.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. So are the parents of all the people that read social media called or not?
Oh, I assume not.
It can't be done. So
not.
I think there's the disconnect. Haven't we pinpointed that social media doesn't have all the facts, and it's troublesome for the administration to try to chase down and put the feathers back in the pillowcase when they're out there on social media. So it's an undisciplined approach to reporting a problem. So Dr. Short mentioned, if there's a problem, report it to the principal. The principal goes to the assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and it goes up the chain, and somewhere along the line either gets handled correctly or not handled correctly. But social media is only a place to ask the question, not to believe that the answer was given. Is that true?
Shouldn't even. John, that was very well said. Very well said. Can
truly,
I add something?
If there is a question, and if you don't get a response from a principal, chain of command, assistant superintendent, board members, we'll get you the answer. Absolutely.
Because the goal here is to answer the questions, right? We all want the kids and the parents and then everybody, the police, everyone to be safe. So to think we don't want that, that's an insult to the teachers, the school board, the
Yeah,
bus drivers, the cafeteria workers, the people that dedicate their lives to protecting the children, the school board members as well. So it doesn't help to not follow the proper procedure.
And I'll give one more example. There was a report last week of a student got some food in the cafeteria that was cold. Now,
Undercooked, I believe.
well, there seemed to be some question about whether it was cold or undercooked. When that was brought to our attention, an amazing chain of events happened that led to our food director down in the cafeteria with a pyrometer checking the food. So ideally, if a student gets some cold or what they believe to be undercooked food, they bring it to the attention of the folks in the cafeteria, and it can be addressed immediately, and we can find out what happened. Since I've been doing this, I've never gone on social media, but I think you and I emailed concerning the bus incident. I think it was Friday, or Saturday. It was mortifying. So a whole bunch of people got involved in trying to get to the bottom of this as quickly as possible. And, because most of us assume that people report things that happen, as we got to dead end after dead end, it becomes very puzzling. But as John points out, it's hard at that point to report that there's no there. So we're going to keep doing what we do as best we can. And if people follow an orderly process, we'll respond diligently, rapidly, and like the responsible educators that we are.
And there's so many pages out there, we can't possibly
Yeah.
see them all
Yeah, but
anyway.
what happens is when stuff is out there, it gets back to some of us, all of us, or one of us eventually, and then it gets shared with everybody, and then it gets shared to the administrators, and everybody feels like they have to do a due diligence, obviously, to investigate it.
We investigate. I contacted our director of
But
food.
what's happening is we're sending our superintendent on these wild goose chases for this gossip that ends up to not be true. But what you don't realize when you do this is that it's keeping him away from work that he really should be doing, right? So I mean, I almost want to say, please, people in the community, stop putting this stuff out there, because we're obligated to go ahead and follow up on it. He's obligated to it. Dr. Mr. Lorenzo, was down there investigating the food.
Pictures of the
And
food
it's just,
coming
it's all
out.
this wasted time.
The sheets from when it was inspected and temperature taken, and I had to forward that to the board because I want to be thorough with any claim that's coming against the district, and especially the one that happened over the weekend with the bus. It's mortifying to see. However, when I reach out to the individuals directly involved, the principal, the bus driver, watch the video. Bus has audio and video. And I'm looking at this and I'm rewinding 2 or 3 times and there's nothing.
So just to be clear, we did reach out to the parent.
That is correct.
And the line went dead at that point. So what happened?
So you can understand the level of frustration.
I understand.
The problem is when the boy cries wolf, we still have to go out in the field and look for the wolf. So we're going to keep doing that. You just like people to be
And
responsible.
we would like people to use appropriate channels, please.
Appropriate channels. If anything is happening in the district that they feel uncomfortable, they hear from a child, contact us. We'll get back to you. If you don't hear, contact someone else. We will.
And then, can I ask on the, not hearing back, where are we with this dean of students?
Well,
Or is that on hold? Is it,
that
what is?
dean of students was a proposed position. We have interviewed 2 people. They initially, I don't want to say accepted, but one did, and then backed out. Just recently as yesterday. So at this point, it's still on hold, but understand that since the changes were made in Watside Middle School, we're going back to November. There have been literally 0 incidents.
Yeah, when I pick the kids up, I'm like, what happened today? They're like, nothing. I'm
Nothing.
like, thank goodness.
Now, that does not make news.
That doesn't make the news.
That is not going to show up.
Red alert.
That's not going to show up on social media. If it did, I'd be on there. Anything else, Jeanette?
And we also have plans, and I know Mr. Brown's here, to expand that cafeteria. We recognize there's a lot of kids in there, and we want to kind of put in a double door to access the courtyard, which the board took the action on last week. And I know Bob is in the process of getting that.
So those, are they, that they're trailer type things, those are going where the kids come out, and like I pick my kids up after school every day, so they're gonna be in the back between.
Right next to the existing cafeteria.
Okay, so where they have all the cars going into.
No.
After school, that's what I'm trying to.
Think about that courtyard area.
Okay.
That's where the windows are by the cafeteria. We're gonna expand that area out.
Okay.
Yep. Mhm.
Thank you.
So the kids will be able to go through the doors, through the windows right there into the, yep.
They're not
Thank you,
climbing
ma'am.
through the
So
window.
we're having them climb through the windows now.
Anyone else have anything on non-agenda items?
Could you go to the microphone, please, and identify yourself so the people can hear what you have on your mind?
To piggyback off of
What's your
the,
name, please?
Kelly
Kelly what?
Machaza. Sorry, to piggyback off of the social media postings, where are we with appropriate social media for the school district? Do we have any intention on having a Gateway School District actual, accredited Facebook page that's actual information, not just parent gossip?
We do have a Twitter that's utilized by the high school. Mr. Stevens operates that. Facebook is conducted through Mr. Mateo, and then the website as well. So, and we are in the process of, and I've mentioned this in the past, getting a new website vendor that will have direct links
That's
on
the second
the
question.
website.
Where the appropriate Facebook
Yes.
pages are
Yeah.
that parents can go for actual school district information and not
Correct.
gossip.
And that would be up and running for the start of the 22-23 school year.
Right.
Thanks. Yes.
All righty. Got reports, eh?
That's all I have.
Kidding me?
No,
John, you look like you.
I sure do.
there he is.
All right, then let's just get to it.
So guess
Mr.
what, guys?
John Ritter.
My name's John. We had a Buildings and Ground meeting that was held today at 5:30 in this very room, February 15th. And we were talking about the upgraded, long-lasting flooring being placed in some certain buildings called terrazzo. And then the question was, should we spend more to get something that will last a lot longer, or try to save money on something that will last shorter? So we found we couldn't vote on that today, but it will be added to our next agenda, which will be the special the regular meeting that we'll have next month, and the study session that comes before that. And if it turns out that we need to have a special meeting to vote on something, the solicitor says we could surely do that. But if folks from the community want to weigh in on that, please let us know what your thoughts are. Thank you.
Ms. McBride.
I have nothing.
Ms. Delaney.
Yes. I want to say a few things. I think last week I had mentioned that February is, in addition to many probably things going on, February is Black History Month. February is also Heart Health Month. But also February is Boost Your Self-Esteem Month, and many people may not have known that. One of the things that it said, and this is, I'm thinking even on the adult side, stop criticizing yourself, stop comparing yourself, start practicing gratitude, and start moving. We all know the benefit even a little bit of exercise can bring. But I'm saying that even more so when I think of students. Having taught many years with many students, a lot of students had low self-esteem for a number of different reasons. And I know the teachers are always been working to address a lot of those issues with them. And some of the low self-esteem, and I know that for a fact because even myself, as an African-American and a mother sitting not here, often going through the system did not feel good always about myself, did not feel adequate, did not feel that I measured up. And I know there are still students that are like that, maybe not always having the role models that we've been talking about, that Rabbi Barber has mentioned as well, that does make a difference. So I'm just putting that out there to keep in mind that boosting the self-esteem of our students as much as possible, because it makes a difference in how they feel. And also today, I had a great opportunity to visit, in fact, all our elementary schools. And usually when I do that unannounced, and I apologize, I don't intend to always do that unannounced, but when I started out and was invited to sit in on the meeting at Evergreen, where Mr. Mateo's school is, and talk to and listen what the equity committee was doing there, I was very much encouraged and impressed. So I thought I would just go around to the other elementary schools while I was already out. Jen Hoffner, I appreciate and thank all the principals for being so accepting for me to just come up unexpectedly like that. But they were gracious. They showed me different things of what they were doing, programs, and I still have that passion in me that that's what I want to see and be engaged with what the kids are doing. That's something I can't help. One of the things and I didn't notice the floors when I went to CSE, but I didn't look down.
Tomorrow,
So probably I'll go back and look at the floors. But also Mr. Joe Rossi, no connection, at Ramsey, they're having a STEM night, which I intend to go to. And I remember last year when they had the STEM night, and they had a lot of the young women that were encouraging and really fostering the fact that more women get involved in STEM. They call theirs STEAM. Now, there's a little difference. English is usually involved with, or is it engineering?
STEM and STEAM, please.
What
is STEM and what is STEAM, please?
Technology, education, and then they add the A for arts.
Yeah, for the arts. Yeah. So they are going to be having that on Thursday evening, and Mr. Rossi was just encouraging. I told him I'd mention it so that for the Ramsey residents and all, and I'm hoping those that are listening via Zoom will come out. You have to come with a parent so that they will come out and be part of that program. And because STEAM, as we said, that's science, technology, engineering, math. When I look also during Black History Month, particularly, I think of all of the numbers of the trailblazing Black scientists who have inspired and done many things for our country that are not recognized. We recognize usually the same few individuals when it comes to Black history, but there are so many more. And I'd say that if adults as well as students, avail yourself to a lot of I had little flashcards. In fact, Mr. Dice had me order him some of the flashcards, and I even won a trivia contest the other day, and I won a $25 gift certificate to Target. So I felt really good about that. One of the other things last week I did, so Mosside Middle is part of this too. I did go, when I was looking at materials, I went into the, I don't know what conference room, I guess, where Joy Mattis was holding her science class. And I was just amazed. Those students were so engaged, and that's what you want to see. I mean, they were working in groups with partners, but they were absolutely engaged. It was almost like I wasn't there, because they were so engaged in what they were doing in science, working with the microscope and doing things that I'd never done, because now you can actually use your phone or your camera and take the pictures through the slides or some kind of, well, I can't even explain it because it's out of my league, but the kids really enjoyed it, and I could see that they are learning a lot from just some of the things that they are working in within the class. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Delaney. Dr. Singh.
Nothing to say.
Doctor. Dr. Warning?
No, just Mrs. I'm just gonna give a real rough estimate, not estimate, sorry. Follow-up, what's going on in our athletics. We're winding down with our winter sports. Our boys will be playing their first round of the playoffs on Monday. They will be playing here at Gateway at 8 o'clock, so everybody please come and support our team. The girls' basketball team finished up their season last night at Plum with a win. I just want to wish all the seniors with the girls, thank you for everything that you've done and everything, all the excitement that you've given us. Mr. Ritter, I believe there is a swim meet tonight and on Friday.
Tomorrow and Friday,
Okay, so,
Franklin Regional and Plum.
and I believe we probably will have some people going,
I'm going.
well, I mean, to like swim offs, that type thing for the things. Wrestling, we have a couple individuals and our bowlers, the Lady Gators, they qualified for the WPIBL team championships, and we had one of our boy bowlers. Ms. Rucci, do we have anything with hockey?
Yeah.
Thank
For
you.
remembering.
Was a Gateway on the news last night?
No.
Just kidding.
No. Gateway Hockey had their last regular their last regular season game last night. It was an away game, and they lost to Mount Lebanon 3-2, literally in like the last 60 seconds of the game. It was so exciting. It was such a hard fought battle for those boys, and they have done so well. And they have no seniors on the team this year, and I think they're going to be really unstoppable next year. And they are going to the playoffs in March. So we don't have any details yet, but this is a big year for Gateway Hockey as the 50th year anniversary. For those of you who don't know that Gateway has a hockey team, we do have a hockey team, 50 years, trying to keep it alive, and really proud of the boys and all the hard work that they've done this year. Thank you.
No problem, since you know that. And I just want to thank our cheerleaders also. They're the girls, the boys, and I love seeing between the other cheerleaders, the other teams, they really get into it. So I love seeing that. But don't forget, next Monday, it's coming to cheer our boys on, and that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Williams.
Update from Forbes. February is also Career and Technical Education Month, and Forbes has a number of things for the kids each week. Social media trivia week, where they get to answer questions for prizes, job shadow day, spirit week, where they get to wear different types of shirts, camo day, tie-dye day, show your love for CTE, wear red or pink, a mini career fair, teacher throwback Thursday, where they hang up pictures of the teachers when they were younger, and you have to guess who they are. And also they're giving back a pet supply drive, supporting Monroeville Animal Shelter and homeless cat management. Also, they'll be having an open house March 17th from 6 to 8, where the kids get to bring their friends and family to show them what they do there.
And they make little sandwiches and cookie. I went to that one. Oh, they cook great. So go to, what's the date and time on that?
March 17th.
I got to write that.
It's 6 to 8.
Time is up, John.
And at one point, they used to have food trucks
I know.
when they come over for food trucks. Also, congratulations to April King. Over at Forbes, we also had a teacher there that won the same award that she did. And he's the computer security teacher, George Kumba, over there, also won the same award that she did. So hats off to both of those. Yeah. Also, there were about 800 students there, near full. And they also, Jack, you remember from December, would like a link on our new website to Forbes. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Scotty. Ms. Rucci. Ms. Mungo.
Nothing.
Nothing. Well, this is a terrible way to end this lovely meeting, but I learned today that a Gateway institution, Coach Artie Betts, passed away today.
Oh.
Artie was, I believe, 91 years old. He was just a monumental figure here. He coached basketball. He was involved in coaching football. Yeah.
Institution is.
Two beautiful daughters.
Yeah, just, and so, keep Artie and his family in your prayers. I don't think there's gonna be anything formal, that he did not want anything. He just, lived great, he's done now, and so, there you go. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Everyone have a great night.